The massive space station called Nexus floated in the darkness between stars. Inside its gleaming halls, the most powerful beings in the galaxy gathered around a circular table. These were the members of the Galactic Council, rulers of thousands, of worlds and billions of lives. Council Speaker Velnara stood at the center of the room. Her scaled skin gleamed green under the bright lights. She was tall and proud, like all of her reptilian people. For 300 years she had led the council. No one dared to question her decisions. "We have a problem," Velnara announced. Her voice echoed through the chamber. "A new species has entered our space without permission." The other council members looked at each other. Some whispered among themselves. It had been 50 years since anyone was foolish enough to challenge the council's power. Intelligence Chief Mordek stepped forward. He was shorter than Velnara, with 4 arms and gray skin. His species was known for being careful and smart. "The species calls themselves humans," he said. "They come from a small blue planet called Earth." Velnara laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "Humans? What a strange name. Tell us about these creatures." Mordek touched a button on his tablet. A hologram appeared above the table. It showed a human male in a military uniform. The image rotated slowly so everyone could see. "They are mammals," Mordek explained. "They walk on 2 legs and have no natural weapons like claws or fangs. They have been in space for less than 200 of their years. Very primitive." Council member Thekgol, a being made of living crystal, spoke up. "How did such weak creatures develop faster than light travel?" "Unknown," Mordek replied. "But their technology is crude. They use chemical rockets and metal hulls. Nothing compared to our bioships or energy-based vessels." Velnara studied the human image. "They look soft, weak, like the creatures we keep as pets on my homeworld." She turned to face the council. "How many ships do they have?" "Our scouts report seeing several dozen vessels," Mordek said. "Small things barely larger than our patrol boats. They have established colonies on 7 worlds in the Outer Rim." "7 worlds?" Velnara's eyes narrowed. "Those systems belong to the council. No species may claim them without our permission." Another council member, a floating blob of purple gas named Wertoxin, pulsed with anger. "These humans must be taught their place. The galaxy has rules." Velnara nodded. "Agreed, but first we must learn more about them. Mordek, what do your spies tell us?" Mordek looked uncomfortable. "Our intelligence is limited, Speaker. The humans seem to have some kind of military organization. They have an admiral named Hyunwoo, who commands their outer defense fleet." "One admiral?" Velnara laughed again. "We have thousands of fleet commanders. This will be easier than I thought." But Mordek was not finished. "There is something else, Speaker. Our scouts detected some unusual energy readings from the inner human systems. Large ships, possibly." "How large?" asked Thekagol. "The readings suggest vessels several kilometers long, but this seems impossible for such a primitive species." Velnara waved a clawed hand. "Nonsense. Probably cargo ships or space stations. Humans would need 1,000 years to build proper warships." On them, council members murmured their agreement. They had conquered hundreds of species over the centuries. None had ever posed a real threat. The galaxy belonged to them, and they would not allow upstart mammals to change that. "I propose we send a standard subjugation fleet," Velnara declared. 50 ships should be more than enough to crush these humans." Council member Zarbeth, a tall insect-like being, clicked her mandibles. 50 ships? That seems excessive for such a weak species." "Better to use too much force than too little," Velnara replied. "We will destroy their military, occupy their worlds, and turn the survivors into slaves. The usual procedure." Mordek shifted nervously. "Speaker, I recommend caution. We know very little about human capabilities. Perhaps we should send diplomats first or gather more intelligence." Velnara's eyes flashed with anger. "Are you questioning my judgment, Mordek?" "No, Speaker. I merely suggest that unknown species can be unpredictable." "These humans are not unknown," Velnara snapped. "They are weak, primitive mammals who have grown too bold. We will remind them of their place in the galaxy. She turned to address the full council. I call for a vote. All in favor of sending a subjugation fleet to human space? One by one, the council members raised their hands, tentacles, or appendages. The vote was unanimous. Only Mordek hesitated before joining the others. Excellent, Velnara said. Admiral Zekthar will command the fleet. He has experience dealing with primitive species. Admiral Zekthar was a massive creature covered in black, chitinous armor. His species had once ruled a quarter of the galaxy before joining the council. He stood and bowed to Velnara. It will be my pleasure, Speaker, he rumbled. I will make these humans an example for any other species that thinks to challenge us. Good. You will depart within the week. Destroy their military forces but leave some survivors. They will tell others what happens to those who defy the council. As the meeting ended, the council members filed out of the chamber. They chatted excitedly about the coming conquest. Some placed bets on how quickly the humans would surrender. Most thought it would take less than a day. Only Mordek remained behind, staring at the hologram of the human admiral. Something about the creature's eyes bothered him. They were not the eyes of a weak, primitive being. They were the eyes of a predator. He touched his tablet again, bringing up the energy readings from the inner human systems. The signatures were unlike anything he had seen before. Massive, powerful, and completely unknown. Perhaps I should have spoken more forcefully, he whispered to himself. But it was too late now. The council had decided, and Admiral Zekthar was already preparing his fleet. Mordek could only hope that the humans would surrender quickly. Something told him that if they chose to fight, the galaxy would never be the same again. Unknown to the council, their communications had been intercepted by a small human probe, no larger than a coffee cup, hidden in the station's outer hull. The probe had been there for 6 months, recording everything and transmitting data back to human space through quantum entanglement. Admiral Hyun-woo already knew the aliens were coming. The red lights flashed throughout Earth Defense Command headquarters. Admiral Jin-ho sat in his chair, watching the reports flow across his screens. His face was stone cold, but his hands gripped the armrests tightly. Sir, we have confirmation, said his aide, Commander So-young. Colony 17 and Colony 23 are gone. No survivors. Jin-ho closed his eyes for a moment. Colony 17 had been home to 2 million people, farmers, engineers, teachers, children. Colony 23 housed 1.5 million. More, all dead. How long ago, he asked. The attacks happened 6 hours ago. The aliens used some kind of plasma bombardment. They turned the colonies into glass. Jin-ho stood up slowly. He was an old man, with gray hair and scars from the resource wars 30 years ago. He had hoped humanity would have more time before meeting hostile aliens. But hope was a luxury they could no longer afford. Send word to all fleet commanders, he ordered. Full battle stations. Recall all ships to defensive positions. Yes, sir. Should we contact the civilian government? Already. Done. The president has given us full military authority. Jin-ho walked to the large window overlooking Earth's orbital shipyards. Hundreds of ships moved between the massive construction platforms. So-young, get me a secure line to Captain Taemin. The Sovereign, sir? Yes. It's time. Commander So-young's fingers moved quickly over her console. After a few moments, a hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed a man in his early 40s with sharp eyes and a steady expression. Captain Taemin had been chosen to command humanity's greatest weapon for good reason. Admiral Jin-ho, Taemin said, saluting. I assume you've heard about the colonies. I have. How quickly can the Sovereign be ready for combat? We've been on standby for the past week, sir. My crew is at full readiness. We can launch within the hour. Jin-ho nodded. The Sovereign had been in final testing for months. Every system had been checked and rechecked. The ship represented 15 years of humanity's best engineering and the combined resources of a dozen nations. Your mission is simple, Captain, Jin-ho said. Find the alien fleet and destroy it. Rules of engagement, sir? There are no rules. They murdered our civilians. Show them what happens when they threaten humanity. Taemin's expression hardened. Understood, sir. We won't let you down. The hologram flickered off. Jinho turned back to the window. In the distance, he could see the Sovereign beginning to move. The massive ship was 15 kilometers long and 3 kilometers wide. Its hull was covered in armor made from materials that didn't exist 20 years ago. Hundreds of weapons dotted its surface like metal thorns. Sir, So-Young said quietly, are you sure about this? The Sovereign has never been in real combat. The aliens think we're primitive, Jinho replied. They think our ships are small and weak. Let them keep thinking that until it's too late. Aboard the Sovereign, Captain Taimian walked through the ship's massive corridors. The walls were lined with blast-resistant metal, and the floors hummed with power from the ship's fusion reactors. 50,000 crew members worked at their stations, preparing for humanity's first interstellar war. Taimian entered the bridge, which was located deep inside the ship's armored core. The bridge was enormous, with dozens of workstations arranged, in a circle around the captain's chair. Holographic displays showed every part of the ship and the space around it. Status report, Taimian ordered as he sat down. Lieutenant Commander Hyojin looked up from the weapons console. All gun batteries are online, sir. Railguns, plasma cannons, and missile tubes are loaded and ready. The main lance is charged to full power. Engineering? Taimian asked. Chief Engineer Dong Hyun's voice came through the speakers. All reactors are running at optimal levels, Captain. Engines are ready for maximum burn. Shields are at full strength. Navigation? Officer Bo-Ram spun around in her chair. I've plotted 17 possible routes to intercept the alien fleet, sir. Based on their last known position and speed, I recommend we jump to the Kepler system. Why there? It's where they'll go next if they follow the same pattern. 3 human colonies in that area, all lightly defended. Perfect targets for them. Taimian studied the tactical display. The aliens had hit 2 colonies on opposite sides of human space. If they were smart, they would hit the middle next, cutting human territory in half. Good thinking, Bo-Ram. Set course for Kepler 442. Yes, sir. The Sovereign began to move faster, its massive engines pushing the ship toward the jump point. In the hangar bays, 5,000 Marines checked their weapons and equipment. These were humanity's best soldiers, armed with powered armor and weapons that could punch through tank armor. Colonel Wu Jin walked among his troops, offering words of encouragement. He was a veteran of the Mars Rebellion and the Europa mining strikes. His men would follow him into hell if he asked. Listen up, Wu Jin called out. The aliens think they can kill our people and get away with it. They're wrong. When we find them, we're going to show them what human Marines can do. The soldiers cheered, their voices echoing through the hangar. In her laboratory deep inside the ship, Dr. Subin studied the wreckage that had been recovered from the colonies. The alien weapons used a type of plasma that was completely unknown to human science. But she was beginning to understand how it worked. Fascinating, she murmured to herself. The aliens had impressive energy weapons, but their technology was based on biology rather than engineering. Their ships were partially alive, which made them powerful but also vulnerable in ways they probably didn't realize. Back on the bridge, Taimian watched as the stars began to shift. The Sovereign was entering hyperspace, moving faster than light, toward its target. The journey would take 12 hours. Captain, Hyojin said, I've been thinking about our weapons load. Should we start with a warning shot? Taimian's expression was grim. No warnings. They didn't warn the civilians on Colony 17. We hit them with everything we have from the moment we see them. Understood? Sir? As the Sovereign raced through hyperspace, messages were being sent throughout human space. Every colony, every ship, every military base received the same order: prepare for war. Humanity had been bloodied, but they were far from beaten. The aliens had made a terrible mistake. They had attacked a species that had spent its entire history fighting wars. Humans had turned warfare into an art form, and now they would teach the galaxy what that meant. In his quarters, Captain Taimian recorded a message for his family back on Earth. He told them he loved them and that he was fighting to protect them. He didn't know if he would survive the coming battle, but he knew his duty. The Sovereign continued its journey through the darkness, carrying humanity's wrath toward an enemy that had no idea what was coming for them. The Sovereign dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Captain Timon stood on the bridge watching the tactical display as sensors swept the area. The system was quiet, too quiet. "Report," he ordered. "Navigation officer." Boram studied her screens. "No alien ships detected, sir, but I'm picking up debris fields near the third planet." "Show me." The main display shifted to show a blue-green world that had once been home to 500,000 human colonists. Now it glowed with the orange light of burning cities. Pieces of destroyed ships floated in orbit like metal snowflakes. "They were here," Taman said grimly. "How long ago?" "Based on the heat signatures, I'd say 6 hours, sir," replied Lieutenant Commander Hai-Jin from the weapons station. "We just missed them." Chief Engineer Dong Hyun's voice came through the intercom. "Captain, I'm detecting strange energy traces in the debris. The aliens used some kind of bioweapon. It's still active." Dr. Subin hurried onto the bridge, her tablet in hand. "Captain, I need to study that debris. The alien technology might tell us where they went next." "Make it quick, Doctor. We can't stay here long." The Sovereign moved closer to the destroyed colony. Through the ship's powerful telescopes, they could see the surface of the planet. What had once been cities were now lakes of molten glass. The aliens had been thorough. "Barbarians," muttered Colonel Wu Jin, who had come to the bridge to observe. "They didn't just destroy the colony. They made sure nothing could ever grow there again." Dr. Subin connected her equipment to the ship's sensors. "The alien weapons leave a unique energy signature," she explained. "It's like a fingerprint. I can track it." For 20 minutes, she worked while the Sovereign's crew watched nervously. Every second they spent here was a second the aliens could use to attack another colony. "Got it," Dr. Subin announced. "The energy trail leads toward the Ross 128 system. But Captain, there's something else. The signature is stronger now than it was at the first 2 colonies." "What does that mean?" Timon asked. "Their weapons are getting more powerful. Either they're learning how to use them better, or they're getting reinforcements." Boram checked her star charts. "Ross 128 has 3 human colonies, sir. Almost 1,000,000 people total. How long to get there?" 8 hours at maximum hyperspace speed." Taman made his decision. "Set course immediately. Maximum burn." The Sovereign's massive engines roared to life, pushing the ship back into hyperspace. As they traveled, the crew prepared for battle. In the weapons bays, technicians loaded the Mon railguns with armor-piercing rounds. Each projectile was the size of a small car and could punch through several meters of steel. Hai-Jin ran diagnostics on the plasma cannons. These weapons could melt through almost anything, but they needed precise targeting to be effective. She had trained for 5 years to use them properly. In the Marine quarters, Colonel Wu Jin briefed his soldiers. "We might need to board enemy ships," he told them. "Their technology is different from ours, but they bleed just like anything else." The Marines checked their gear one more time. Their powered armor could stop most small arms fire and enhance their strength by a factor of 10. Their rifles fired rounds that could penetrate tank armor. They were ready for anything. Dr. Subin continued studying the alien energy signatures. She was beginning to understand how their weapons worked. The aliens used living creatures as part of their technology. Their ships were not just machines, they were partially alive. This could be useful, she thought. Living things had weaknesses that machines did not. They could get sick, they could be poisoned, they could die from shock. Meanwhile, Captain Taman walked through the ship checking on his crew. The Sovereign was not just a warship, it was a floating city. It had its own farms, factories, and hospitals. 50,000 people lived and worked within its hull. He stopped by the communications center, where dozens of operators monitored signals from across human space. "Any word from other colonies?" he asked. Operator Min Kyung looked up from her station. 3 more colonies have gone silent in the past 4 hours, sir. The aliens are moving fast." Taman's jaw tightened. The enemy was not just attacking randomly. They were following a plan, hitting human settlements in a specific order. But what was their goal? "Sir," Boram called from the bridge. We're approaching Ross 128, dropping out of hyperspace in 10 minutes. Tamian hurried back to the bridge. This time, they might catch the aliens in the act. The Sovereign was designed to fight multiple enemies at once. Its armor could withstand massive damage, and its weapons could destroy targets from incredible distances. All stations prepare for combat, Tamian announced. Throughout the ship, crew members took their positions. The Marines sealed their armor. The engineers checked the reactor output. The gunners powered up their weapons. The Sovereign dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Ross 128 system. Immediately, alarms began to sound. Contact, Boram shouted. Multiple alien ships, 73 vessels total. They're attacking the second planet. The main display showed the alien fleet. Their ships were unlike anything humans had seen before. They looked more like giant sea creatures than spaceships, with curved hulls that pulsed with internal light. Some were small and fast, others were massive and heavily armed. They're beautiful, Dr. Subin whispered, and terrifying. The aliens had formed a blockade around the planet, preventing any escape. Smaller ships were bombarding the surface while larger vessels destroyed the orbital defense stations. It was a coordinated attack by an experienced military force. Distance to target? Tamian asked. 40 million kilometers, sir, Boram replied. We're at the edge of their sensor range. Good. They haven't noticed us yet. Yijin, prepare the main weapons. Target the largest ship. Yes, sir, main lance is charging. The alien fleet continued its attack, unaware that humanity's most powerful warship was watching them. They had grown confident after their easy victories. They believed humans were weak and primitive. Sir, the communications officer called. Out. I'm receiving a transmission from the planet. It's an emergency broadcast. Put it through. A desperate voice filled the bridge. This is Colony Ross Beta to any human ships. We are under attack by unknown alien forces. Our defenses are failing. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need help. The transmission cut off suddenly. On the main display, they could see one of the alien ships firing on the planet's surface. Another human settlement was being destroyed. Tamian stood up slowly. All hands, this is the captain. We are about to engage a superior number of enemy ships. But we are not here to win a fair fight. We are here to show these aliens what happens when they attack innocent people. Today, they learn that humanity does not forgive, and we do not forget. He turned to Yijin. Begin the attack. The hunt was over. Now came the reckoning. Admiral Zekthar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the destruction of another human colony. His massive form towered over his crew as they worked their organic control systems. The ship itself was alive, its walls pulsing with a slow heartbeat. How many ships have we lost? He asked his tactical officer. None, Admiral, came the reply. The humans have no defenses worth mentioning. Their ships are small and weak. Zekthar nodded with satisfaction. The council had been right. These mammals were nothing more than pests to be exterminated. 3 more colonies destroyed, and not a single alien casualty. Sir, the sensor operator called out. I'm detecting a large object at the edge of the system. It appears to be a single ship. Size? Very large, Admiral. Approximately 15 kilometers long. Zekthar's 4 eyes focused on the display. A ship that size was unusual but not threatening. Probably a cargo vessel or space station trying to flee. Send a squadron to destroy it, he ordered. Then continue the bombardment. 12 alien ships broke away from the main fleet and headed toward the Sovereign. Their biohulls rippled with excited energy. The hunt was almost over. Aboard the Sovereign, Captain Tamian watched the approaching alien squadron. 12 ships incoming, Boram reported. They're moving fast. Let them come closer, Tamian said calmly. Yijin, are the weapons ready? Q. Systems armed and ready, sir. Main lance at full power. Wait for my command. The alien ships approached in a loose formation, their organic hulls glowing brighter as they prepared to attack. At 5 million kilometers, they opened fire with plasma bolts that lit up space like green lightning. The plasma struck the Sovereign's shields and simply disappeared. The massive human warship didn't even slow down. On the alien flagship, Zekthar stared at his displays in confusion. What just happened? Where did our weapons go? Unknown, Admiral. The human ship appears to have some kind of energy barrier. Zekthar's confidence began to waver. No primitive species should have shields that strong. Captain Taemin stood up from his chair. Throughout the ship, 50,000 crew members waited for his word. In the weapon bays, Gunner Sergeant Yoonji had her finger on the firing controls. "This is for Colony 17, Taemin said quietly. "Fire." The Sovereign's weapons fired all at once. The main lance, a beam of focused plasma wider than a city block, struck the lead alien ship. The creature vessel simply ceased to exist, vaporized in an instant. Railgun rounds, each moving at a significant fraction of light speed, tore through 3 more alien ships like they were made of paper. Plasma cannons swept across the remaining vessels, cutting them apart with surgical precision. In less than 30 seconds, all 12 alien ships were destroyed. On the alien flagship, absolute silence fell over the bridge. Zekthar's crew stared at their displays, unable to believe what they had just witnessed. "How?" Zekthar whispered. "How is this possible?" Before anyone could answer, the communication system activated. A human face appeared on the screen. Captain Taemin, his expression cold as space itself. "Attention, alien fleet," Taemin said in perfect galactic standard. "I am Captain Taemin of the United Earthship Sovereign. You have murdered millions of innocent humans. Now you will face the consequences." Zekthar found his voice. "You are just one ship. We have 60 vessels remaining." Taemin's expression didn't change. "I know." The transmission ended, and Taemin turned to his crew. "All weapons, fire at will. Leave 2 ships alive." What followed was not a battle. It was an execution. The Sovereign moved through the alien fleet like a shark among minnows. Its weapons fired constantly, each shot precisely aimed. Alien ships exploded one after another, their biohulls no match for human engineering. Tactical, Officer Minsu coordinated the attack from his station. "Target the command ship last," he advised. "Let them watch their fleet die." Hyojin worked her weapons console like a deadly instrument. The plasma cannons rotated smoothly, tracking targets, and destroying them with mechanical precision. Each shot was perfect, each kill clean. The alien fleet tried to fight back, but their weapons were useless against the Sovereign's shields. Some ships tried to ram the human vessel, only to shatter against its armored hull like insects against a windshield. Dr. Subin watched from her laboratory, studying the aliens' desperate transmissions. "They're terrified," she reported. "They've never faced anything like us before." In the marine bays, Colonel Wu Jin and his soldiers waited for orders to board enemy ships. But there was nothing left to board. The aliens were dying too quickly. Zekthar's flagship shuddered as the ships around it were destroyed. His crew cowered at their stations, too frightened to function. The Admiral himself stood frozen, watching his once proud fleet be torn apart by a single human vessel. "Admiral," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving surrender offers from 17 ships." "It doesn't matter," Zekthar replied numbly. "They're not accepting surrenders." He was right. The Sovereign continued its deadly work, methodically destroying every alien ship it could reach. The humans were not interested in prisoners. They wanted revenge. Chief Engineer Dong Hyun monitored the ship's power systems from his station deep in the vessel's core. "All reactors running smoothly," he reported. "We can keep this up for hours if needed." But hours weren't needed. The alien fleet was already broken. Ships fled in all directions, their crews panicking. Some crashed into each other in their haste to escape. Others simply shut down their systems and waited to die. The Sovereign pursued the fleeing ships with relentless efficiency. Its engines were more powerful than anything the aliens had, and its sensors could track targets across entire star systems. One by one, the alien ships were hunted down and destroyed. The void filled with debris and the fading energy signatures of dying bioships. After 3 hours, only 3 alien vessels remained. Zekthar's flagship and two smaller escorts hiding behind the planet's moon. Captain Taemin studied the tactical display. Hyojin, destroy the escort ships. Leave the flagship intact. 2 more precise shots and the escorts were gone. Only Zekthar's ship remained, alone and helpless. Open a channel, Taemin ordered. Zekthar's terrified face appeared on the screen. The proud admiral was now a broken creature, his confidence shattered. Please, Zekthar begged. We surrender. Don't kill us. Taemin studied the alien for a long moment. You will return to your council, he said finally. You will tell them what happened here, and you will deliver a message. What message? Taemin's voice was ice cold. Humanity remembers. We do not forgive. And if you ever threaten our people again, we will hunt down every last one of your kind and turn your worlds to ash. The transmission ended. Zekthar's ship limped away into hyperspace, carrying news of the greatest military disaster in Galactic Council history. The Sovereign remained in the system, its weapons still powered and ready. Around it floated the debris of 71 alien warships, testament to the price of threatening humanity. Captain Taemin looked out at the destruction and felt no satisfaction, only grim determination. This was just the beginning. Admiral Zekthar's damaged flagship limped into the Nexus station 3 days later. The once mighty vessel looked like a wounded animal, its biohull scarred and blackened. Emergency crews rushed to help as the ship barely managed to dock. Zekthar himself was carried off on a medical stretcher. The proud warrior was broken, his 4 eyes staring at nothing. He muttered the same words over and over. 71 ships. All gone. All gone. News of the disaster spread through the station like wildfire. Council members hurried to the medical bay, demanding answers. But Zekthar could only repeat his story of the massive human warship that had destroyed his entire fleet. Council Speaker Velnara paced back and forth in her office, her scaled skin pale with shock. Intelligence Chief Mordek sat quietly in the corner, his forearms folded. He had warned them about underestimating the humans, but no one had listened. This is impossible, Velnara hissed. One ship cannot destroy an entire fleet. Zekthar must be lying or insane. The sensor logs don't lie, Mordek replied calmly. I've reviewed them myself. The humans have a vessel 15 kilometers long with weapons we can't understand. Velnara stopped pacing. 15 kilometers? That's larger than some of our space stations. And it moves faster than our best ships. Its shields absorbed our entire opening attack without damage. Its weapons. Mordek paused. Its weapons can vaporize a battleship with a single shot. The office door burst open. Captain Tekvol, the only other survivor of the massacre, stumbled in. His chitinous shell was cracked and one of his arms hung uselessly at his side. Speaker, he gasped. You must hear what the human captain said. He recorded a message. With shaking hands, Tekvol activated a recording device. The hologram of Captain Taemin appeared in the center of the room. Even as a projection, his presence was intimidating. To the beings who call themselves the Galactic Council, Taemin began. His voice was calm but filled with steel. You have made the grave error of murdering our civilians and destroying our homes. You believed us weak because you had not seen our true strength. Velnara felt her blood run cold. The human's eyes seemed to look directly at her. This is your only warning, Taemin continued. Leave human space immediately. Return what you have stolen. And pray we never cross paths again. We are humanity and we do not forgive, we do not forget, and we do not show mercy to those who harm our own. The image paused, and Taemin's expression became even more frightening. You sent 73 ships to destroy us. I am returning too, so you will know what happened to the rest. But understand, the Sovereign is not alone. We have 47 more ships of its class under construction, along with hundreds of smaller vessels that would still dwarf your largest battleships. The recording ended, leaving the office in stunned silence. Velnara collapsed into her chair. 47 more ships like that monster? The human was not finished. Tekvol said weakly. He played another recording. This time, it showed a different human. Admiral Hyun Woo, the commander they had dismissed as unimportant. He stood on what appeared to be the bridge of another massive warship. "I am Admiral Hyun Woo of the Human Defense Fleet," he said. "By now you have received Captain Taemin's message. I'm here to deliver our terms." Hyun Woo stepped aside, revealing a holographic display showing the galaxy. Red dots marked human territory, while blue dots showed Council space. "First, all Council forces will withdraw from these systems immediately." Hyun Woo pointed to a buffer zone around human space. "Any alien ship found in this area will be destroyed without warning. Second, you will return all stolen goods and technology taken from our colonies. This includes any prisoners you may have captured. Third, you will pay reparations for the lives lost and the colonies destroyed. The amount will be determined by human negotiators." Velnara's claws dug into her desk. "Reparations? They're demanding tribute from us?" Hyun-woo wasn't finished. "Finally, the Council will formally acknowledge human sovereignty and agree to a non-aggression pact. Any violation of this pact will result in the complete destruction of your civilization." The Admiral leaned closer to the camera. "You have 30 standard days to comply. If you refuse, we will consider it an act of war. And unlike you, we do not make empty threats." The recording ended. The 3 Council members sat in shocked silence, trying to process what they had just heard. "This is outrageous," Velnara finally whispered. "They're dictating terms to us, to the Galactic Council." "Speaker," Mordek said quietly, "I recommend we comply with their demands." "What?" Velnara spun around to face him. "You want us to surrender to these mammals?" "I want us to survive," Mordek replied. "My agents have been gathering intelligence since the attack. The humans were not exaggerating. They have been building a massive fleet in secret." He activated his own holographic display, showing images of human shipyards. Enormous vessels were under construction, each one larger than anything the Council had ever built. "They call them Titan-class warships," Mordek explained. "The Sovereign was apparently just their prototype. The newer ships are even more advanced." Velnara stared at the images in disbelief. "How did we not know about this?" "Because we weren't looking. We assumed they were primitive, so we didn't bother to investigate properly. Our arrogance blinded us." Captain Tekvol spoke up weakly. "There's more, Speaker. During the battle, I monitored their communications. They were coordinated, professional. This wasn't luck, it was military precision." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying these humans have been planning for war since the Yuibayu day they discovered faster than light travel. They knew they would eventually meet other species, and they prepared for the worst." Velnara felt her world crumbling around her. For centuries, the Council had been the supreme power in the galaxy. Now, a species they had dismissed as primitives was dictating terms to them. "What about our allies?" she asked desperately. "The hegemony, the Trade Federation?" Mordek shook his head. "They're already distancing themselves from us. Word of the defeat has spread. Everyone is afraid of being associated with the Council when the humans come for revenge." Over the next few days, emergency sessions were held throughout the station. Council members argued and debated, but the conclusion was always the same. They could not fight the humans and win. Some members suggested forming an alliance with other species to overwhelm humanity through sheer numbers. But Mordek's intelligence reports showed that the humans had been secretly contacting various alien governments, offering trade deals and mutual defense pacts. "They're not just warriors," Mordek explained to the full Council. "They're diplomats, strategists, and long-term planners. They've been 3 steps ahead of us from the beginning." As the 30-day deadline approached, more reports came in. Human ships had been spotted throughout the galaxy, not attacking, just observing. They were letting everyone know they were there. Finally, with only hours left before the deadline, Velnara called for a vote. "All in favor of accepting the human terms?" she asked with a heavy heart. One by one, every Council member raised their hand. Even Velnara herself voted yes, though it felt like poison in her throat. The message was sent to human space. "The Galactic Council accepts your terms. We will comply with all demands. The response came quickly from Admiral Hyun-woo. Wise choice. Human negotiators will arrive at Nexus Station within the week to oversee the transition. And remember, we will be watching. As news of the surrender spread throughout the galaxy, the balance of power shifted forever. The age of the Galactic Council was over. The age of humanity had begun. On distant Earth, Admiral Jin-ho stood in his office, looking out at the stars. Reports were coming in from across human space. The aliens were withdrawing, the stolen goods were being returned, and reparations were being paid. But Jin-ho felt no satisfaction. He knew this was just the beginning. Other species would test humanity's resolve. New threats would emerge from the dark corners of the galaxy. Humanity had announced its presence to the universe in the most dramatic way possible. Now they would have to live up to their reputation. The Sovereign and its sister ships continued their patrols, watching the borders of human space. They were guardians now, protectors of a species that had claimed its place among the stars through strength and determination. And in the vast emptiness of space, other civilizations looked toward human territory with a mixture of fear and respect. The mammals from the small blue planet had proven that size and age meant nothing in the face of human ingenuity and resolve. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again.